This week I learned even Stephen King isn't above reproach. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update as we are continuing to just roll on through the first month of this new year. But lots of fun things and some new developments on the channel to get to talk about this week. Let's begin, like usual, guys. Let's talk about what am I reading. I continued Lancelot by Giles Christian. And I'm having one of those things where you ever had the thing where you're reading a book and you think it's fine. It's good. It's nothing special or anything like that. And everyone else says it's amazing. I think that's what I'm kind of having with Lancelot right now. Now, a lot of people have kind of calmed down because they were before. Because I do think the book started really, really good. Then it lulled for a long time. Then it picked up again. But there is a big, big lull in the probably, I guess you would call it the second to the beginning of the third act in the book. I'm about 70% done right now. But yeah, like I said last week where I said, unless I hit a big wall with Lancelot, I did. I hit a big wall with it because I did feel like it was a long, long time just kind of dicking around on an island and not a lot was happening. I usually love slice of life stuff, but it just wasn't clicking with me with this. And I think maybe it's just I'm too much a fantasy fan maybe because it almost feels just like kind of like a recounting of events more than anything actually happening. And it's kind of frustrating to me as an Arthurian legend fan. Now, I think Giles Christian, amazingly talented writer. This is kind of a me thing with historical fiction. I'm very, very new to historical fiction. I haven't read very much of it, so it's kind of adjusting, I think, there. But it is one of those things where it seems like everyone else is enjoying the book a lot more than me. I'm going to finish Lancelot, but I don't know if I'm going to be continuing with Camelot next month. I'm not like deleting it from my Kindle or anything like that. I just don't think I'm going to make it a priority to read Camelot next month, just because, like I said, this is still kind of a new genre for me to really be tapping into. And I just think that there's other things that I'd rather read right now. But again, Giles Christian, very, very talented writer. It's definitely a me thing, not a him thing. But so I said, hey, I'm kind of struggling with this. Let me do what I usually do. Let me stagger. So I started The Regulators by Richard Bachman, a.k.a. Stephen King. And I finished it. Now, guys, before you think that's anything, but look, this is a quick book. It's not that long. Thank God. Because, guys, this is in competition with Tommyknockers as my worst experience on this reread that I am doing of Stephen King. It's easy going back and doing this, seeing why I blast it from my memory, and I don't remember it at all. Because it's one of those books that makes you wonder, did Stephen King really stay sober all those years, or did he relapse? Because this has so many strange decisions that he made in it. And I like it when King embraces the weird. I really do. I love it when he's weird. Don't get me wrong. I mean, God, the guy made a career out of it in this early part of his career. But this, it's in a Tommyknockers kind of way. It's just too far. It just doesn't make a lot of sense why he makes some of the decisions that he does. I mean, hey, hats off to him for going for it. One of my most confusing decisions that he made for me was using this as a twinner novel, or I guess a sister novel. I guess people outside the multiverse might know it as. With Desperation, is he uses a lot of the same characters, and what I mean by that is they have the same names, but they're completely different. They're completely different than they were in Desperation, but it's not in like a different Path of the Beam, Dark Tower way. It's basically like if you had two authors with the same idea and the same character names, but they write two very different stories with the same villain in it. But it's not like Desperation at all. It's way, way goofier. And it's just, it really, I think it confuses it a little bit because you're looking at those characters and all you're thinking about is the way those characters were in Desperation. And they're nothing like that here. It's like, it made it more confusing giving them the same names because it's hard for you to differentiate which version of them you're reading. I don't know. It's one of those, I feel like, whichever one you read first, you might end up liking a little more. I don't know, because I think Desperation blows this one away, guys. So if you're going to read one of the two, I say Desperation. And, I was kind of lukewarm on Desperation this reread. This is pretty bad, guys. I didn't really care for it at all, and I can't in good conscience recommend it. So some people love it. Most people seem to dislike it. It was definitely a miss for me, and like I said, I can see why I kept it out of my memory. So yeah, not a very good time, but however, I will say it is still a page turner. You will still finish it really quick, even if you're just shaking your head the whole time. It is a really, really quick read. But yeah, that's a weird decision. I'm not sure why he made the decisions that he made. That leads me, guys, because I am reading other stuff, but I kind of got to wrap it into what am I going to read here. Now with this, guys, I said, look, hey, I'm going to finish my January books earlier than I planned. So I'm going to have like a week left in January before I start my February reads. And I don't want to move up, because since I'm doing the monthly TBRs now, I don't want to move up those books I have planned. So I was like, okay, this is the time for me to fit other stuff in. I thought, okay, I'm just going to pick up the next Triss book, like I said I was going to do. But I had some recommendations for some things to try to fit in that week. And I said, why don't I do it the old school way? Why don't I put up a poll? Now, I put up a poll on the YouTube community page, and I put up the same poll on Twitter, and they had complete different results. It was actually kind of amazing. If you guys don't know, Twitter is very much a champion of the indie author. So they were always going to pick an indie author, whereas the viewers on my YouTube channel, a lot of them are from overseas, and there is a specific book title that is very, very popular, much more popular overseas than it is in the States. Now, the 3 books I picked was the next Triss book, Time and Contempt with The Witcher, which is where I left off 3 years ago, or Never Die by Rob J. Hayes, who actually sent me this book this week. And on Twitter, Rob J. Hayes ran away with it. Now, that's not really a big surprise, because like I said, self-pub and indie authors get a ton of support on Twitter, and I think that's great. So he ran away with that poll, whereas on the YouTube poll, The Witcher ran away with it. Now, like I said, a lot of my viewers here are from Poland, especially, and from Europe. And it's very, 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 very popular series is The Witcher over there. I get so many comments about, are you ever going to continue The Witcher? So what I decided, since these polls were just so opposite, instead of combining them, is I'll just read both, because look, Never Die is not that long. In fact, I went ahead and started it. Slapping cover, by the way. Isn't that just a great cover? And guys, I've got like 40 pages left. It's just very, very easy to read. It's not even 300 pages. It's very quick. The font is huge in here, so you're going to fly through this really, really quick. There's no bog down at all. I really like it. And the thing I'll say about it is it's basically what I wanted Cradle and Poppy War to be, if that makes any sense. So take like a reverse Suicide Squad, and that'll make sense if you read it, and then give me all those things that Cradle and Poppy War were trying to do, but actually do them well. And I think that's what he does here. Very, very fast-paced, some characters that you will likely have you won't be able to get attached to them. I think it's more of a thing of, you're just having a great time with them, and they're very memorable, and he differentiates them very well. So they do like, put this band together here, as you would say, but there's none of these characters are like anything I've ever read before. So it's very unique. It is still a debut novel by an author, and I can see there's some things that I say, I don't really particularly care for that, but yeah, if you want a fun, just like a slasher kind of, I don't want to say a slasher. I just mean like it's this swashbuckling kind of action, just really, really fast, just nonstop action. I think you'll have a good time with it. But he's actually taking time to do some character moments in here too, which I do appreciate. And it's one of those things I think that Rob J. Hayes is probably one of them. As I get further and further along in his bibliography, I think he would really become really good. One of my favorites, I think. So I don't think this will be the last Rob J. Hayes book that I read, and I shall finish that one probably today. Now, as for Time and Contempt, that will be afterwards. Now, guys, I'm going to pick up where I left off. I left off right here 3 years ago. So I think 2 chapters in, and these are long chapters. So I don't think that'll be a problem getting that done before the new year. So not new year, the new month of February. But again, yes, I'm not going to lie. The new covers, the new hardcovers I am getting did influence me just a little bit. But hey, that's fine. But if that's what people really want to see me do, then sure, I'll go back to it. I didn't rage quit The Witcher. I just wasn't liking Time and Contempt, and I said I was going to shelve it for a while, and I would come back to it. And I'm true to my word. It's years later, but I am coming back to it, and that happens sometimes. Not everything's a DNF with me. A lot of things is just like I'm not feeling it right now, and I think if I force it, I'm going to end up hate reading it. So I just wanted to take a break. I didn't mean to take a break that long, but everyone assures me that Time and Contempt, if you get through that one, the next book is apparently the best in the series, according to a lot of Witcher fans. I don't know, but we shall be doing that sometime this week. We're not going to be starting Golden Sun until February 1st. It's the next book in the Red Rising saga, and I'm super excited about that because in my memory, that is my favorite one in the series, and I can't wait to revisit. So I've got until then, and I'm going to continue reading book 3 of Percy Jackson with my kid. Not slow going on that one. Like I said, we're only doing like a chapter a night. So, kids always say they're wide awake, and you start reading, and they're out. But he is still really, really enjoying it. He's very, very much still obsessed with it. Nothing new to report there. Just kind of the same things that I've said, the last few years. But about a quarter of the way through that one. But it's still fun having all those little theory discussions with him because he's got some good ones. He's got some really, really good ones. So how about this week on the channel, guys? What did we do this week on the channel? Well, I did a couple of reviews. First, I did my review of the Icewind Dale trilogy by R.A. Salvatore. That is the Legend of Drizzt, the second arc. technically the original, if you aren't going in chronological or if you're going in publication order. And I had lots of great things to say about it. The coolest thing about it is apparently R.A. Salvatore has seen them and has actually been in touch, and we're going to have a discussion probably sometime in February or March. And I'm over the top excited about that. So, yeah, the fact that, R.A. Salvatore, regardless how you feel about him, the guy is probably fantasy royalty. The guy has been doing this for going on 50 years now. He's put out a new book almost every single year since then. 50, probably more about 40. I don't know. When you get my age, those years just kind of fly by. So he's been doing this for a long, long, long time. And I can't wait to ask him why he is the heartless person that killed one of my favorite Star Wars characters in his first Star Wars book. So we'll be talking about other things, but we don't have a date for that yet, but we are in communication. And it's really amazing to me that an author of his prestige did actually reach out to me to talk and has actually watched those videos and said that he enjoys the way I do criticism. And that's always a pleasure to hear. I really do appreciate that. But yeah, if you want to know more about Driss, look, with Driss, guys, it's like, I love it. I know every time I talk about it, most of my discourse, most of the interactions I get, but whenever I try to convince anyone to read Driss, they back off like I've got herpes and I'm asking them to make out. They're like, I don't know what it is, why people tell me all the time they'll take my book recommendations on anything, but if I talk about Driss, they're like, they're not interested, and that's fine. I understand that a lot of people look at a book series that long, or they've gotten this whole thing that the fantasy community does now, where if it's not like an 800-page epic with like amazing prose and the best world building ever, they act like they're above it. That's fine. If you're that type of reader, that's great. That's great. For me, sometimes it's fun to just have those simplistic fantasy, as I like to call it, and I don't find anything wrong with that. And Legend of Driss, guys, I'm having a blast. I can't wait to continue, and I hope more of you will give it a try than I did the first of my Red Rising Reread re-review. That's one thing. That's fun to try to say, and I can't believe I got it on my first try, honestly. What that is, guys, obviously, I reviewed the Red Rising books, the first trilogy on the channel, early, like in the infancy of this channel. It was before I had a format or anything. It was really, really, really bad, low production. The audio didn't match my lips and stuff. So I wanted to go back, since that is one of my favorite series of all time, I want to go back and give those the appreciation I think that they deserve, and really just give it the new format and production quality and all that stuff. So a lot of fun going back and talking about that first book, which was actually a lot more enjoyable this time for me on the reread than it was the first time. But yeah, again, that read-along is going on. I'd love for you guys to join us. Lots of people that are first-timers are saying that they have enjoyed the first book quite a bit, and that makes me very, very excited to continue with that. So, hey, it's never too late, guys. These are short books. This first couple are short. You can catch up really, really easily. Like I said, we start Golden Sun on February 1st, but, we're doing one per month, and they're really not hard to read. I think you guys will fly through them. So, hey, that bandwagon is not yet even close to full. If you want to hop on, I would love to have you and to talk about it. So I'm a forgetful idiot, and I forgot to mention the most popular video that I had this week, talking about the 15 best books that I've read since I started this channel, which was obviously the response to the 15 worst books that I've read since I started this channel. Very good conversation overall. I think it was a very, very tough list for me to put together, but the reception has been pretty accepting. I think there have been some couple, I think you shouldn't do one book per author. I think you should just put your top 15. That's always going to be a discussion. That's just a format that I choose to do. But this is a fun video. I like to spread the positivity over the negativity. So I thought it was a good response to that last video. So I don't know why I forgot to mention it, but I want to make sure that I inserted it in here in case you missed it. I got to talk about YouTube Shorts here for a minute, because I did start doing some YouTube Shorts. Now, basically, that's like all I'm doing on Mike's Media Reviews right now, because I don't really have a lot of time to do extra videos right now. So I'm kind of like, look, Mike's Media Reviews is always going to be like a side thing. But, it doesn't take that long to do a short, and I feel like I can keep constant communication that way. With this channel, me doing shorts, I've already heard some people complaining about them. Here's the thing. Guys, they're 60 seconds long, and if you don't want to watch them, it's not going to hurt my feelings at all. They're very easily skippable. It's not a big deal. I know that people would rather have, at least of my audience, would rather have my regular videos. And look, I'm not going to make 7 of those a week. I'm going to make 4 a week like I always do. So I think with the shorts is just, one is to fill off those off days, is obviously a lot of fun. But also, I look at this as like a growth thing, guys, is January through April is historically an awful time for channel growth for all content creators. It is a very, very rough time. So I think a great way for someone to get a taste of what your channel is like is to watch a short. I think they'll commit to 60 seconds a lot easier than they'll commit to 20 minutes. Because a lot of people see the length of my videos and they're like, no thanks, I don't want to hear someone talk about a book for 20 minutes. And I get that. Most of my audience has been here for a while. They appreciate that. A lot of other people, let's just say the TikTok generation, they do really want to hear something quick. So I thought these shorts are a great way to kind of get some new eyes on the channel. Maybe see they like they like my voice, they like the way that I talk or something like that, and maybe it'll influence them to check out the channel. So for me, it's always something of, hey, maybe this can help with growth during this really short time, or really cruel time. I think for content creators, this first 3 or 4 months of a new year is always really tough. And also, it gives me a way to do 2 other things. One, fill out those empty days where you feel like, hey, it'd be cool if you could do content 7 days a week. I wish I could do that for you guys, but I can't. But also, it gives me the opportunity to do something that I'm going to be kind of calling, like, haven't come up with a name of it yet, but basically like micro reviews. If you want like an elevator pitch about what I thought about a book, really, I can, like, for example, I don't plan to do a full review for Never Die, but I think I'll do a YouTube short about why I think that you should read Never Die. That's what I'm going to kind of do. So it's one of those things that, guys, I don't like TikTok. I don't like it at all. I don't fit with TikTok. I don't play obnoxious movie clips and sound effects and music really loud while I'm dancing, while holding a book. That is not my style. Obviously, there's an audience for that because people that do that on BookTok, I think they call it, they have millions of followers, and I've got like 600, So I don't think that I really fit with TikTok. But whereas this, obviously, is what YouTube is trying to do to compete with TikTok. And that's why I'm doing it, because I think it can get new eyes on the channel. And people are much more willing to give you a 60-second try than they are a 20-minute try. So it's hopefully, if you guys are like, hey, I know it's this day and you're not going to have a new video this day, cool. How about a nice little 60-second little clip? So there it is. Some people don't like them, and that's fine. That's fine, but I just letting you guys know that's why I'm doing them. So if you don't want to watch them again, not going to hurt my feelings. But I want to give an explanation for them. How about next week's stuff, guys? I am going to be hitting up my TBR for February, doing those monthly now. So you guys seem to like the format that I did in January, so I'm going to continue that format, talking about the 5 books I have on deck happening in February. If you're a constant viewer of the channel, I think you know a couple of those already, but I think there might be a couple of surprises on there for you, so I hope you will check that out. I'm finally going to finish off my Robin Hobb's Live Ship Traders trilogy by talking about Ship of Destiny. I'm going to be doing a review for that one. That'll be the last Robin Hobb book that I do an individual review for. I'm just going to be doing like the series arcs, Live Ship Traders, Tawny Man, Fist in the Fold, like that, going forward, because I don't feel like it's getting enough interest to do individual reviews for each video. But I will be doing Ship of Destiny since I did do the first 2, and we'll wrap that series up. And then, guys, like I said in my Red Rising video, if you know what the book's about and you wanted to hear me talk some spoilers, I'm going to be talking spoilers this Thursday night live with HowlerPod, Ben and Aaron from the HowlerPod. Basically, the best Red Rising podcast there is out there. Really awesome, energetic folks that I can't wait to talk to. Go ahead and warn you up front, we're going to have some bad language in that video because they use a lot more bad language than I usually do on this channel. I use a lot more of it in real life, I think we all do. But I think if you're reading the Red Rising books, you're not going to really be prone to bad language. It's not going to really upset you very much. So there is that, but I can't wait to pick their brains about this series, because what I know about it, I feel like I've only scratched the surface of the things that they go into when they talk about these books. I'm very excited to do it, and I think it's going to be a ton of fun. It's going to be spoilers about Red Rising Book 1 only, so you're safe if you've only read the first Red Rising book. But guys, that's all I have for books this week. I do got a couple of TV and movie talk things before I go. I got to start by talking about The Last of Us, the premiere on HBO. I know I said recently I was kind of apprehensive because, 1, it's a video game adaptation, and 2, I just don't feel like they were going to keep the same theme of the game. Well, through the first episode, they very much are, because, guys, there are scenes that are ripped right from the game. I'm talking the camera angle, I'm talking the action, I'm talking the dialogue. Everything about it feels just like the game. So while I'm still like, okay, I need to see the chemistry between Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal, because they only had like 2 scenes together that episode. I don't doubt either of them as actors, so I think it'll end up being good. But for me, the soul of that game wasn't about anything except the relationship between Joel and Ellie. That's what I loved about it so much. So I'm hoping they're able to keep that same energy and kind of capture that in this series. And I do wish Pedro Pascal could grow the epic beard like Joel, but you know what? That's a minor gripe. It made me think of how much I regret The Witcher and Wheel of Time, about how good they could have been if they would just have stayed true to the source material. It doesn't have to be a page-for-page adaptation, because it isn't. Last of Us isn't exactly shot for shot, but I do think it is extremely faithful to the source material. And look at the reception. Critics love it, fans love it, casuals love it. It's very, very rare when that happens, and I think it's happening for a reason. So that's something that's beloved to people. And you see how if you go into it respecting the fan base, wow, look at the reception. You know, instead of doing your own thing, I think it can work sometimes because they are doing some of their own thing. They're doing original things in there, but they're keeping true to that storyline. And I'm very, very excited for what's coming forward. My wife loved it. You know, she hasn't played the game and she loved it. So she's excited. She's actually mad that it was only, you know, it's going to be a weekly show and not an all at once drop, you know, because she's like me. She's a binge watcher. But I think it's fun to have these conversations between weeks. So I'm excited about it. But yeah, Last of Us, the premiere episode, great. I hope they keep up the same pattern that they're using, expanding on what was already there, but keeping those very, very famous moments from the game as they were. And I can't wait to see the clickers, because apparently the same guy that did the makeup for Vecna on Stranger Things is doing the makeup for the clickers, and I can't wait to see it. So we saw like the one like on the wall, and it was really, really creepy, but I can't wait to see them in action. It's going to be very exciting. Also, we got the trailer for Season 3 of The Mandalorian. Hey, cool. It looks like Mando and Grogu flying around the galaxy, having fun. That's all I need with Star Wars, guys. I just need Star Wars to be fun. I think for me, the biggest thing still left is the Order 66 stuff, and looks like we do get some of that in the trailer. I'm excited for that because in the end, guys, yeah, lightsabers are cool. I mean, if you watch the intro for the channel now, lightsabers are cool. It's not really breaking news. So I know that we've gotten this thing lately where, we want to get away from the Jedis and space wizards and lasers. Not me. Not me. I've been a fan of that since I was a little kid, and I'm still a fan today. So, look, I just want Star Wars to be fun, and this is probably the last thing I'm ever watching on Disney Plus is Mando 3. So, hey, cool. That's all I really got to say about it. I showed it to my kid, and he was kind of like, yeah, it looks fun. So we will see. That's pretty much like a family thing still. You know, all four of us in the house watch it. So that's why it's the only reason it's probably we're still going to be watching it. But I hope it's as fun as last year. You know, I had a great time with Season 2. So stay that course and don't try to do any of the other stuff. I do fear it is going to slip more and more into the MCU pattern like all the other Star Wars stuff they've tried to make. But I'm trying to stay optimistic here that Jon Favreau knows what has worked with the first 2 years, and he continues that path and doesn't get tempted by the dark side of the Force. But guys, that's all I have for this week. I know I keep promising you I'm going to talk about the 100 eventually. I'm still watching Season 6. So when I finish Season 6, before I start the final season of the 100, I'll make sure I talk about it on one of these, because I do have lots of thoughts. And Season 6, I can see why it is probably the most divisive season in that series. But guys, that was my week. What's your week looking like? Why don't you hit me up in the comments? Let me know what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you're playing. As always, there's no wrong answers, and have yourselves an awesome, awesome weekend.